And we are live on YouTube, on Facebook, and probably in other places as well. This is Full Time Devils, and it's time for another huge debate. Today's debate, the huge summer transfer spending spree debate. Who came up with the name for that? Was that you, Chris? That is a hearty mouthful. A hearty mouthful. Today, I'm joined by Statman Dave, Stephen Howson's here, McKola too, and we're talking all about the transfers next summer, as the title would suggest. You might be thinking, oh, it's too early to be talking about summer transfers. The season's not even finished.
It is?
Well, you're the ones who voted for it. You're the ones who voted for it. Shut up, McKola. It's the fans, the people that matter. They're the ones who voted for it. They wanted us to talk about it. You can vote about who you think's the winner in this one as well, by the way, if you click the I button, which I am assured is around me somewhere. Right, let's get straight into it, boys. First things first, which players are you going to ship out this summer if you had to get rid of a few? I think there's a few that have been maybe given a few too many chances at Man United. Let's start with Howson. Tell me, mate.
You all know the first name on my list. He's gone. Proper gone. Ashley Young. Bags. Get them packed. Laiders. He's going for about 2 million, I reckon. We'll snap someone's arm off if they offer us 2 million for him. Christopher Smalling of Smallington. He's going. Everton are in the mix. Let's give him Everton. They took Wayne Rooney off our hands. Happy days. Got another one for you here. A clapped out centre half. Ashley. Chris Smalling. Take Chris Smalling off our hands. I reckon we could probably get 18 million for him because he's English. He's still got a bit of life left in him. And looking at the numbers that players are going for, I think 18 million is probably pretty fair. Daley Blind, I don't really want to get rid of, but I think that we are getting rid of him. So I reckon 15 million, roughly what we paid for him, is about fair for that. Big Fellaini, he's going, but we're going to get nothing for him because his contract's up. Herrera, 25 million. I think Herrera's going to go. He's not playing in this team. I did think he could work alongside Matic. Doesn't look like he can work alongside Matic. So we're going to cash in on him and add that to my budget for who we're bringing in. Luke Shaw, 15 million, similar to Herrera. Clearly Mourinho's not fancying him, so let's cash in on him. I think we're going to lose money on him, but I reckon we can get 15 million back. And Matteo Darmian, loads of rumours all the time about him going to Juventus. I reckon 10 million would be a fair price. And I think that brings my total sales in at 85 million.
85 million sales again. Reckon you'd make out of that?
My sales, I'm going Young, 2 million. Smalling, 18 million. Blind, 15 million. Fellaini on a free. Herrera for 25. Luke Shaw, 15. And Darmian for 10.
15.
I think that's fair prices. I think they're fair prices.
Don't tell me. I've not got to keep track of all these prices, do we? Failed my GCSE maths. Right, Statman Dave, tell me about who you get rid of.
You asking me?
No, I'm asking Statman Dave, mate. That's why I said Statman Dave.
Give it a rest, Matt, for 1 second. Well, I think I'm going to start with defence first and get rid of a few players there. I think Chris Smalling, I'm not going to sell him to Everton, I'm going to sell him to Arsenal. They've been rumoured with a move for Chris Smalling for years and years. And we're going to rip them off. We're going to get £25 million for Chris Smalling, which is a great deal. Moving a bit further on in terms of other defenders, I think like Matteo Darmian as well, off to Juve for 15 million as well. Maybe Daley Blind, another player that may not fit into Mourinho's team and my team. He's also off back to Ajax for 15 million. And we're also going to sell Luke Shaw this time to Tottenham Hotspur for another 15 million. Moving forward into midfield, of course, Marouane Fellaini does leave on a free transfer. Sad news, but if he wants the money that he wants, it's not worth it, and that money can be reinvested in wages. A great servant for Manchester United. We can't forget the job he did in the back end of last season in the Europa League, vitally getting United some pretty big silverware and also into the Champions League. And finally, very, very sad, I think Ander Herrera's time at Manchester United has come to an end. Not quite sure what Ander Herrera is as a midfielder. He's been at United since 2014. Is he someone that's tenacious like N'Golo Kante? Is he someone that tries to dictate the play? Is he a goal-scoring midfielder? We've never found the best position for Ander Herrera, and I don't think Ander Herrera has found the best position. So we're going to potentially flog him back to Barcelona. Valverde is a big fan of course, Ander Herrera after they spent some time together at Athletic Bilbao. So we're going to send him back to Barcelona. He's going to join their midfield, add a bit of bite and energy in there. 25 million, which is my total. 95 million back into the transfer kitty so we can make some big signings.
You ready for ITK Gaz? My mate was on a flight back from Barcelona with Ander Herrera yesterday. Of course, it's more likely that he was just visiting his family, but let's just throw it out there. Also, can I just mention, it's been a while since I've been on, especially with Statman Dave, and when did you become so slick?
I've always been this slick, Gaz.
That was
You've
like
always
a
wanted to be
newsreader,
me. You've always
that.
had that picture of me in your living room, dreaming about being Statman Dave one day. And apparently someone nearly thought you were the other day, so you're nearly there.
It was sensational. It was sensational. It was because I was at the Urinals, mate. We must be penis twins. Right, McKola, tell me who you're getting rid of, pal.
Penis twins. That's because you both got belly buttons down there. Anyway, moving on from that. My exit list looks like this: Darmian £10 million, Smalling £15 million. I've put Andreas Pereira in there. Now, personally, I don't want him to leave, but I think he could be someone that ends up leaving this summer. I think the decision to go out to Valencia really peeved off Jose Mourinho, and I think Jose Mourinho saw a different plan for him than Pereira saw for himself, and I think that clash will ultimately result in Pereira leaving. I would have been heartbroken about this 2 years ago, but I've kind of come around to it a little bit more now. I put Romero on the list, but I don't know why, so I'm taking him off. Not because of anything I hate him. I don't hate him or anything like that. But I just think to myself sometimes, like, you're too good to be our number 2. We've got Joel Pereira coming through who needs more game time. Does it make sense to keep Romero? But maybe in January that could be something that happens, because we don't really want to be messing with a position we don't have to in the summer. So I've taken him out of my list. So at the moment I got Darmian 10 million, Smalling 15 million, Pereira, let's say 15 million with add-ons. Blind, I do not want to see this happen, but it looks like it might do. 20 million. And then obviously Fellaini and Carrick leave. I haven't chosen to get rid of Ashley Young or Luke Shaw. I've got faith in Luke Shaw. I know the manager doesn't. And that's kind of contradicting my Pereira decision because I'm based that on what the manager thinks. But I personally would keep Luke Shaw. If this was Football Manager and I'm coming in, Luke Shaw's staying. And I might keep Ashley Young around to be my backup there. It would have been nice if we kept Blind because I think Blind's better than Young at left back. I think he's better than half of our midfielders at midfield. And I think he's better than Jones, well, better than Smalling at centre half. But it looks like Blind's going to go. So it's a real head scratcher. But I'll put Blind there with maybe 20 million. And that one is a sweetener for one of my other deals in. But we'll talk about that later. And then, yeah, Fellaini, Carrick, unfreeze. I'm not making the wholesale changes everyone else is.
I think then Blind and Darmian are 2 players that I think the majority of you's listed. I think that's a dead cert. We've not seen them in months, have we? I forgot that both of them bloody played for the club.
I don't want Herrera to go.
No.
The reason being, sorry, I forgot to mention this. Fellaini and Carrick, 2 midfielders that are leaving. Why do we want to be replacing 3 of our first team midfielders in the summer? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And also, the interview that Herrera did today, has it been released yet? I don't know. It looked like it was a new contract kind of thing. But I don't know.
I think the Pereira thing's quite interesting. You think Andres Pereira, who was really good in pre-season, United have got a bit of a hole in right central midfield / on the right wing, and Pereira could have filled that this season. And like, I agree with Matt. Like, why are you going to Valencia if you kind of in Mourinho's plans? Like, he was playing really well in pre-season, and then just signed that really late move, and it's sort of like you're going to get game time at United this season. There's so many holes that you could fill, and you're a wonderfully in pre-season he's playing DM. Like, he could have played that role for United when they're chasing a game, and it's sad.
And he looked good. He played in the 6. Because last season, in Jose's first ever game, he played in the holding role at Wigan. And then he went out on loan. Come back, you think, yes, this is your time. But then, at the end of the window, he decides, like, it's a head scratcher. Maybe Jose said you're only going to be playing cup games or something. I don't know. But then the way everything transpired, Fosu left, Fellaini injured, Carrick...
Look how much McTominay's played. McTominay came out of nowhere, to be honest. He wasn't knocking on the door, really. And Pereira was miles ahead of him. And Pereira might have done himself loads of harm to go. But I'm with you, Mac. I think I would want to keep him in and around the squad next season. I think he's a brilliant footballer. One of the best natural footballers I've seen. Can play in so many positions. Playing as a false 9, either wing, number 10, number 8. He has played at number 6. This is a versatile player that would have... He'd probably have played 20 times for United this season if he'd have stayed.
The last little point of his press conferences, he said he's been out at Valencia playing in a position I would never have played him or something. And that was what made me think, all right, Jose's not happy here. He doesn't he's just...
The big side of that is as well, Guedes has pretty much got the left wing covered, and he doesn't start Pereira. So, like, if you're going to go for game time, you're going to go for week in, week out football, he hasn't got that. And I think, again, maybe Jose's not saying the position directly, but it's just that he hasn't played as much as he's expected to play. So, weird one.
Yeah, there's a few comments coming in, actually. Just to comment dead briefly on Howson the Magician. I don't know what they're referring to there. Not got a clue. Kat also says, wait, you lot still aren't on Twitter. We're not. How long has it been now? 10 days, Chris? Like 10 days we've been blocked by Twitter. So if you can do us a favour, tweet Twitter @Twitter and say free FTD. That's what we're going with, innit? Hashtag free FTD at FullTimeDEVILS. Because
I mean, we've not threatened nuclear war against anyone, have we?
It's outrageous.
Was that one time Laney started?
Chardonnay says Adam got better Wi-Fi. Yeah, he seems in sync today. It's a bit different. Nick Sparta says hashtag penis twins. Don't think we'll be able to get that one trending. And Solon Style says another transfer window won't automatically solve the problem. I kind of agree with that, actually, and that's what we're going to get into now as well.
City came third last season and did not look impressive in the slightest. They signed a couple of key players and now they look almost unbeatable. So don't tell me that.
And we finished sixth last season and now second.
Exactly. So don't tell me that a transfer window can't transform it, because it absolutely...
Well, we're going to get into it now. We're going to get into it now anyway. We've spoken about the players you're all going to shift off. Hopefully you've been keeping track of how much money you've made from the players you've sold there. Now, as we get... just heard McKola swear in the corner of my ear then. Now, we're going on to signing players now. What I want you to do is, I think a realistic transfer budget for us next season is probably about 150 million, something like that. So those players that you've sold, add whatever you've got from that onto the 150 million. Shit. That's your budget going forward. We'll go to McKola last because I know he's got to do some quick maths. So let's go straight to Statman Dave and start. Statman Dave, who are you bringing in with your transfer budget?
I obviously don't need to do quick maths. My maths is already done. I made 95 million from my sales.
He went boys. He went Altrincham boys, and he thinks he's clever. Dead quick maths, right? Go on, Dave.
I've actually got a degree in statistics and mathematical science, guys, so I technically am smart.
I did my maths GCSE a year early. Dave beat that.
Wow, bud. Get on that. But anyway, in terms of my budget, it rocks out at 245 million with the 95 that I made through selling the players that I mentioned before. In terms of Manchester United, I think it's kind of agree. It's a few signings away from being a really good side. I think there's problematic areas. Firstly, central midfield. I think that's an area that massively needs to be addressed. But also at fullback, I think both sides need to be addressed as well. So in terms of my signings, I've gone with 2 central midfielders and 2 fullbacks. The first central midfielder I think United should probably pick up that probably will play in defensive midfield is Jorginho from Napoli. Jorginho is a fantastic footballer, one of the best in world football. If you watch Napoli, they play some of the quickest, fast passing from front to back in world football. It's incredible. They're a really good side, and the guy that's the heartbeat of this team is Jorginho. He's almost like Pirlo. Pirlo was a sort of radister. He sat in between the midfield and the defence and would dictate the play from deep. That's exactly what Jorginho is. He's one of those players that's really good at reading the situation, when to move it to the attackers or when to retain possession. And of course, linking with the likes of Insigne, the likes of Dries Mertens, he is the key man. He's completed more passes this season to Insigne, and Insigne has had the most touches of any player in Serie A. Insigne is a left winger. If United want to get the best out of Martial, Marcus Rashford, Alexis Sanchez, even Romelu Lukaku, having someone like Jorginho in defence midfield that can move it around the back, then ship it forward, is going to be crucial. I've got him at 4. I think that's kind of achievable. I think Napoli potentially will sell players in the summer if Sarri does move. Big rumours of him going to AC Milan, but maybe Gattuso will stay further. But 40 million seems all right for me for Jorginho. In terms of other central midfielders, I think Milinkovic-Savic from Lazio would be perfect. Milinkovic-Savic, again, another very interesting player. How the game has moved forward. He's almost a target man that plays in central midfield. Similar to Marouane Fellaini, but boy, is he better on the ball than Marouane Fellaini. Incredible in terms of creating goals for his teammates. There was a performance against Juventus earlier on in the season where pretty much he created both of the goals, and it was very different movement. The first goal was him, rocking up and dropping into the inside left channel, playing a quick pass when he's in between the lines, and then Lazio go on combination play and score a goal. The second goal was even better, standing up against Chiellini, coming off the play, receiving the ball, turning, playing through, and they won a penalty. But he's a very, very technically gifted player, but also he scores goals. And that'd be a big thing. He scored more goals than any other central midfielder in Europe's top 5 leagues this season. So Milinkovic-Savic is going to cost quite a bit of cash. So I've got 80 million there for my Serbian sensation. So that's 120 million I've spent out of my 245 £45 million budget for those two central midfielders. So central midfield is sorted. Now we've got to move on to the fullbacks. I think in terms of fullbacks, a left back and a right back is a must. I think Kieran Tierney, from Celtic would be perfect. In terms of Tierney, what he looks a little bit like an old school winger when he's dribbling, when he's running, a little bit jinky, a little bit will knock the ball past you and then cross it. And what I like about him is his confidence. 20 years old, he's already captained Celtic, he's already captained Scotland. This guy's a leader. Since the days of Darren Fletcher, we've lacked a leader from Scotland in the Manchester United setup. So Kieran Tierney for around £30 million would be perfect for me. In terms on the right-hand side, I've got a lot of budget left. Out of my 245 million, I've got 95 million. 90 of that is going to go for Joshua Kimmich from Bayern Munich. For me, Joshua Kimmich is the best right back in world football right now. Technically wonderful, really good at providing width. You're thinking Iron Robin coming inside. Kimmich being a winger in that final third, as fullbacks have to do in the modern day. In terms of the Bundesliga, he's created the most chances, 9 assists, which is pretty incredible output for a forward. But what I like about him is he's not just doing the same thing when he gets that final third. If he needs to hang the ball up at the back post, he will do that for Lewandowski. If you've got someone like Thomas Muller making a run on the near post, he'll find him. Or he's really good at waiting for the cutbacks, hitting the byline and pulling it back. In terms of his whole entire assists, this season, 20 of them. 3 as well coming from corners, which will be vitally important for Manchester United that just can't score from corners. So they're my signings, all together, rocking out at 240 million. Jorginho from Napoli, Sergej Milinkovic-Savic from, of course, Lazio, Kieran Tierney from Celtic, and Joshua Kimmich from Bayern. That's going to be the big transfer. But that's mine. Back to you guys.
Look, he's like a newsreader. Honestly, it's ridiculous. Back to the studio.
No, here's
Rick Tamlin.
Go on, Howson. Talk to me about who you're bringing in. Some big shouts from Dave there.
Yeah, I think we're all going to identify very similar positions, if I'm being honest with you, and possibly very similar names. Toni Kroos is the first name on my list. Midfielder that's going to be comfortable in possession, experienced, won a handful of Champions Leagues already. I mean, I think he really wants to move to Manchester United. He agreed to join us when Moyes was manager. That's how much he really wanted to come to Manchester United. I think there's a very real possibility that he's going to come. People are saying, why would he want to leave Real Madrid? I don't know that. I do think that he wants the United move. And I reckon he's probably going to cost you about 65 million. I think that'd be a fair price for him, considering he's 28. Gulam of Lazio, the left back from Lazio, because I think, much like Dave, but I'm going for a bit more experience. I think Sessegnon could have been in the mix with that one as well. But Gulam from Lazio, like you said, Lazio do play fantastic football, and they overlap
Napoli
with their. What have I said? Oh, sorry, Lazio. Yeah, Lazio, Napoli. They play in blue and they're Italian, Dave. Christ.
Saving you.
Yeah, thanks. Toby Alderweireld from Spurs. Looks like there's problems there, and I think he's one of the best centre-halves in the Premier League when he's fit. I think him and Bay would be absolutely fantastic together. 40 million for Gulam. I reckon it's probably going to be 40 million for Alderweireld as well. And then I've got a couple of young up-and-coming players that I think would not demand permanent first-team place, because I think we're pretty stacked in that area. But one for midfield and one for the right wing. Right wing being Leon Bailey. I know he plays a lot on the left. I think he's excellent on the right, and I think he's someone that we could really use on the right.
Manager genius he is.
It's going to cost you about 50 million, I reckon, because I put him in the same bracket as Sané that City signed. You know, he's coming from the same sort of place. He's the same sort of player, same sort of level of ability. Let's call it the same money, 50 million. And then a bit of a wild card one is Uar from Lyon. I see a lot of Paul Pogba in him. Someone that's able to dictate a game from the front, very creative, very tricky, lots of flair about him. Only 20 years of age. Definitely a big name for the future. So get him in and bring him into that midfield, because we really lack depth. I think Adam mentioned before, we're looking at probably 3 of our first-team midfielders, if not first-choice midfielders, in Herrera, Fellaini and Carrick being moved on. We need to replace that like for like. So I think Uar, 35 million, and that comes in around about 230 million, I reckon, which is just under. I think I had 235 to spend after selling 85. So I reckon that's about doable for us. Made a £5 million profit, no problem, Mr. Glazer.
Don't you wish that football was actually like this? You could just list a load of players you're getting rid of and then just use that money exactly like this. It'd be amazing.
I think it does it Pep Guardiola.
Adam, talk to me, mate. Who are you bringing in?
That's when you don't have the Glazers in charge. I was going to say so I got 210 million because I got 10 million from Darmian, 15 million from Smalling and Pereira, and 20 million from Blin. So 210. I've gone for Toby Alderweireld, similar to Stephen Howson. I think he's a quality centre half that we need at the moment. In Victor Lindelof, we brought someone that was. I haven't given up on Lindelof, by the way. I think he's shown a lot of signs of improvement recently. But in Toby Alderweireld, we get someone that's guaranteed to be a success in the Premier League, who's experienced in the Premier League, and who I believe, just like Steve said, alongside Bailly, would make the best centre-half partnership in the Premier League. I think we could possibly get him for £30 million because in summer 2019, he's available for £25 million, I think, with a release clause. So they could, obviously, 30 million is probably cheap. Let's say 35. What did Steve say for Alderweireld?
40.
40. All right. I can 40. I don't even know if I can do 40. I can't do 40. I'm doing 30. Anyway.
Ring one, mate. Get a little.
We don't need to be too precise. Don't worry.
All right. So that's my centre half sorted. I've got him in there. Obviously, I only sold Smalling from our centre half, so I don't need to bring anybody in. In terms of Darmian leaving, I've got Timothy Fosu-Mensah returning from his loan deal, and Axel Tuanzebe returning as well, who will be part of our first team squad and in that defence. And then I've gone for two midfielders, two big money midfielders. What's my maths here? Jesus Christ.
Am I going to have to help?
Defo not quick, man.
No. All right, I got enough for these, but I might not have enough for my last signing, which will make me sad. So I got Milinkovic-Savic, which I put for £80 million. I agreed with. I spoke with Dave on that one, and I know rumours are saying 100 million and 120 million and all this madness, but I've gone for Milinkovic-Savic at 80 million and Marco Verratti at 80 million. Both very, very unlikely, but with us using so many midfielders. With Matic being absolutely overplayed this season, I think Matic is going to be about 10 years older next season. It's going to be awful for him. So I've gone with Savic and Verratti. I've put them both down as 80 million. So if I put that's 220, I'm bust.
Just feel like I need to say as well, this is just a bit of fun. Like, football isn't actually like this. Just listing players you want to sell.
I haven't got any money for is
it is for some managers.
Yeah, and then McKola doesn't actually think that we're going to spend 80 million on Verratti and 80 million on Milinkovic-Savic as well. Right, we'll be back in a sec. We're going to be talking about swap deals. You might have a quick ad break. Some of you might not, but if not, see you in a sec. And we're back. Right, so let's talk about swap deals. We saw in the last transfer window, of course, Henrik Mkhitaryan go to Arsenal for Sanchez to come to us. Can you see something like that happening this summer? And if so, in fact, even if not so, I just want an example of a swap deal that you'd like to see happen for United. Let's start with McKola. Adam.
Fellaini for
a mint arrow.
Yeah. Fellaini for.
All right. Let's not start with Adam. Howson.
I've got no interest in doing any swap deals whatsoever.
Daily been for Justin Kluivert, and then all my deals can go through.
There we go. We've sorted it out.
There's no way they're letting that happen. But yeah, I like your thinking.
Come on, Howson. I want one swap deal from you. Just think of a player you like and think of a player we can get rid of for him.
Into the reserves as manager for Angel Gomez into the first team.
It's a technicality, but I'll let you have it. Dave, talk to me. Swaps.
Technicality.
I kind of agree. I don't think that United should really swap any players. I think the squad is young, it's hungry, and it's evolving. And I think players that you potentially swap, are like Anthony Martial or a Paul Pogba, they probably should stay at the club because they're young players and they're fantastic. But if you were in a hypothetical world, if you're looking at someone like Paul Pogba, if you're going to let him go, obviously you don't want to let Paul Pogba go. But if there was anyone that could come in, someone that Howson spoke about before, Toni Kroos, into the Man United midfield at 28, you're getting that instant quality. You're getting a midfielder that's in his prime right now, and you'll get him for another 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 years. The midfielder that Toni Kroos is, the dictating of the play from that sort of deep left position. It's incredible. He's an incredible footballer. He's perfect in terms of his technique, and he'd be the only player that I even consider swapping for Paul Pogba. But I'd also want a hatful of cash as well. Thinking the resale value of Toni Kroos. Shout out to Stephen Howson here. But the resale value of Toni Kroos is going to be less than Paul Pogba's resale value. So Real Madrid are going to have to pay 80 million or maybe like 50 million plus Tony Cruz, and then I'd do that. But at the end of the day, I'd rather keep
Pogba! Shut the front door, Dave. What are you talking about? Are we really... I know this is for fun and games today. Are we really...
Have you just listened to what I was saying? I was saying I don't want to do it, but if there was a situation that arose...
No! No!
Stop twisting my words again, Matt.
Why are we going to let Pogba and or Martial go? I know Dave never suggested Martial. Why is all this... Like, I'd rather Jose Mourinho and Rui Faria go now, if that's the case. Like, them two are our best players. You do not touch them. Anybody...
That's what I said.
You're considering selling him?
No, I'm not.
Tony Cruz on money, Dave. And Fellaini, you defend him.
Mark, you need to listen, because I did say, I said that maybe Martial would be one that would be swapped if there were to be a swap deal.
I know, Dave.
Right, so Dave wants to sell Pogba and bring Tony Cruz in instead. Fair enough. Right, guys, I want 30 seconds from you to tell me, to try and convince me why your argument was the best. Now, this is going to be quite difficult, because in the 30 seconds, I also want you to remind me of the players you've got rid of and are bringing in, because I've completely forgot most of them and was barely listening. Let's start with Howson. Go on then, 30 seconds. Talk to me about players you're getting rid of, players you're bringing in, and why it makes Man United a better team, not just a better collection of players. Go.
Right, United are top heavy at the moment. Far too many good forwards and not good enough at the back, which is why we don't play expansive football, because we can't trust those at the back. So it's time to get rid of Young, Smalling, Blind, Fellaini, Herrera, Shaw and Darmian, and bring in Tony Cruz to bolster the midfield, Gulam to pull it up at left back, Alderweireld to make us strong at the back, a bit of excitement in Uar and Bailey, and I'm also promoting Tuan David, Pereira, Fosu Mensah and Angel Gomez from the academy, because that's what Manchester United's all about. And with that team, we've got a strong defence, midfield, attack, loads of youth, and we're going to win some stuff.
Bang, you got it bang on 30 seconds as well. Absolutely smashed that. Right, McKola, talk to me. 30 seconds, convince me why you're right and these lot are knobheads. Go.
Because as you quite clearly heard come out of Dave's mouth, he wants to sell Martial and Pogba and give Fellaini a lifetime contract. I didn't say those things. As for Steve, he's clearly got an agenda against Ashley Young. We don't want to be dealing with anyone who's got agendas. So I'm the only right choice here.
Right, so what McKola's done there is he's not spoken at all about what he's done and has instead pointed out why you two are wrong.
Donald Trump tactic works usually, come on.
I mean, to be fair, yeah. Right, Dave, 30 seconds. Talk to me about why what you've picked is good, not just why what these have picked is a load of nonsense. Go.
I think squad players such as Smalling, Herrera, Luke Shaw, Fellaini, Darmian, Blind have just got to go. In terms of Manchester City, they upgraded 3 positions and they're going to win the Premier League. If United upgrade central midfield and they upgrade their fullbacks, they very much will be very close to winning the Premier League. Joshua Kimmich is unbelievable at right back, of course. Tierney is a very young player that's got a lot of potential, but heart, very, very heart and a lot of firepower. In terms of Jorginho and Savic, that's combination in terms of dictating the play through Jorginho and Savic, his brutality.
Right. We've had 30 seconds. We've had 30 seconds. Dave, just dead quick, list the players that you're getting rid of and players you're bringing in again.
So I'm getting rid of Smalling, Herrera, which is sad, Luke Shaw, Fellaini, Darmian and Blind. In terms of my players coming in, we've got Jorginho, Milinkovic, Savic, Kieran Tierney, and of course, Joshua Kimmich.
I think Steve's might be slightly more realistic. And I know this is a bit of fun, but I'm going to go for Steve for the win here. So, Howson gets the win. Chris, when can they vote? When can they vote about what our next debate's about? Oh, up there apparently. You press a button and you can vote. And who's the winner? And up there. Who's the winner of this? And what our next debate's about. So go and do that. We'll be back on Full Time Devils very, very soon. Probably the preview next, innit? My name's Gaz. It's great to be back. That's Howson. That's McKola. And that's Statman Dave. What do you want?
Yo, Gaz.
What?
You licky day? You licky day?
I don't know what you're trying to get me to do, but I'm not going to do it. Right, we'll be back soon. See you in a bit. Laters.